All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rikakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops, a great millstone. Shalom to the whole field elect, beginning with the 144,000. Shalom. And this will just be a piggyback, or a part two, right, in a sense, of my morning talk that I did earlier this morning on my way to work, right? And I believe I titled that this morning, this is the last chapter of Esau book, right? And at this point, everyone knows that the end is here, right? That the end is here, that the end is near, right? We've been preaching and warning the people and telling the people about these things, and now the people are finally starting to see, right, that we've been telling this truth this whole time, right? And how do we know that we're at the end? By measuring the times, right? We've been speaking about 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter, right? The Lord gave us signs to let us know, right, to be a clear indicator that his return is near. And not only that his return is near, but that Esau rulership, society, kingdom, right, and etc. is also at his end, right? It's at his downfall. The 2nd Ezra 9:1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? So we're measuring the time diligently in itself, meaning what? We're literally looking at the signs that let us know that we at the end. Yahushua gave his disciples a list of things to let us know, right, that his return is near, right? Going into Matthew the 24th chapter, right? The book of Mark, the book of Luke, right? So that's how we know we're at the end, right? We're seeing the Lord visiting the earth, right? Visiting the world which he made, right? Through the wars, through the prophets, right? Through the famines, the plagues, the earthquakes, through all the disasters, through all the things that's going on upon the face of the earth, right? The earth is in a straight up chaos, right? It's in an uproar, right? You got Esau society going against each other. So like, give me 1 second. All right, so hey, we're seeing the signs that hey, this is the end of Esau kingdom, right? This is the thing that we've been praying for, right? So and before I get into Isaiah the 13th chapter, right? I was watching the news right before I did this lesson, and Spain is not allowing any U.S. aircraft, airships, ships that ships, jets, planes dealing with the war into Spain, right? So now you have parts of NATO, right? Turning their backs against America, right? Spain standing 10 toes down. They saying they don't want any part of this war, man. So now we're seeing, NATO and these other nations, these countries, these allies, right, turn against the great whore, right? This is the end of America, man. This shit is going down the drain, man. and it's a great thing to see, right? It is a wonderful thing to see, right? And before I did this lesson, right, I was watching the elder about the Zotbot, right, of GMS South Carolina, right. He was on his page GMS Walk and Talk 08. I believe that's the channel title, but he doing a video 2 hours ago of this man, right. He's a Uber driver, right. And I seen this earlier. It was yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right, on social media, right. He was saying the elderly white couple, got into his his car, right, because he do Uber. He said that they were selling out their businesses, right. And the dude said that uh, you know, he had jumped. Then he said, "You just don't jump into conversations." But he heard them. He said, it was $1 million, things of that such, right? But he's saying that the elder couple saying that, hey, whatever you do, get your family in line, right? They're like, if you can, prepare yourselves for up to 6 months or something like that. Right, saying that, something big or something, a great disaster. Oh, yeah, he asked the man, or the Uber driver, he was like, what's your worst fear? He was like, I can't think of it off the top of my head. He was like, well, whatever your worst fear is, hey, what's to come is going to be 10 times worse than your worst fear, right? And saying to prepare things to that says, man, you can't prepare for the day of doom, right? Or to prepare, the day of doom for doomsday, right? How you can prepare for something that you never faced against or never went up against, right? Like, come on, man. So, anyways, man, we see in America, hey, it's over with, man. It's through, right? Hey, this is the start of World War III, man, right? And it's only going to continue to get worse from here. So, probably we're going to Isaiah the 13th chapter and Revelation the 8th chapter, and flow through the Spirit, right? So, this Isaiah 13:1. It reads, the burner of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. He said, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles, right? That banner is what? The Bible, right? The Holy Bible, the book that we read from day in and day out, the book that we preach from, the book that has all the prophecy in it, right? That we telling y'all about, and how it says, and I reread it from the top. It said, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. That high mountain is what? America, who is ran by who? Esau, right? Job 9:24, right? Things of that such. Esau's the so-called white man, right? It says, exalt the voice unto them. It says, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of nobles, right? The prophets of the Heavenly Father going on the highways and byways, doing lessons and etc. Now they trying to consider us as what? Terrorists, hate groups, etc. Because what? Because what? It's getting into Esau, right? Esau is in shambles, right? They trembling because why? They saying that our people are waking up. They saying that they can't do nothing to stop it now. They've been deceiving our people for so long, right? And they thought they had us in a chokehold, but now that those chains are that yoke is being lifted up off our neck, man. Now our people are starting to wake up, right? Now our people are starting to, finally come back into Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, right? Verse 3. So like if I sound like this, man, allergies, pollen, all these things going on, man, you know, got me kind of out of it, right? So this Isaiah 13:3, right? And it reads, I have commanded my sanctified ones being who? The prophets, right? The Lord's elect, right? I'm going to grab a quick precept. Jeremiah 1:5. It reads, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations, right? So that's the prophets, the Lord's elect, right? So let's go back to Isaiah 13 and verse 3, right? It reads, I have commanded my sanctified ones, the prophets, right? The Lord's elect. He said, I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my highness, right? How, mighty ones, for my anger are speaking about the Lord's angels, right? So this verse 4, he said, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people. Salakia, I don't know how to pronounce this word. Tomatus, Salakia, Salakia if I pronounced that wrong, right? Which I know I did, but as it says, it's a noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustered the hosts of the battle, right? And this is speaking about World War III, right? That third woe, Revelation 11 and 14, right? And it reads, the second woe is past, and we hope the third woe coming quickly, right? So, hey, that third woe is here, right? And hold on, let's go into I believe it's chapter 16. Well, it might be chapter 6. Well, it's saying the Hebrew tongue. So you bear with me. Hebrew tongue. Armageddon. Okay, Revelation 16 to 16. All right, we're right over it. All right. It says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Right. You know, the Lord is gathering these nations right to the east. Right. For the great, world war that's soon, to take place, or that's soon to go up at an upscale that's going to involve all these world leaders. Right. And what is going to be called the Armageddon. Or that's what it is called, right, in Hebrew. So let's go back to Isaiah, the book, chapter 13, Salakia, and start back up at verse 4. Right, and it reads, it said, the noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustered the host of the battle, right? And that's again talking about World War III that's going to take place. In other words, for that is what? The Armageddon, right? And I'm going to bring out a quick precept. I know it's killing me. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 3 and verse 8, right? And it reads, hear now, O Joshua, the high priest. Hold on. Wrong precept. Right. All right, Zephaniah, so I can chapter 3 and verse 8, right? And it reads, therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy, right? So it's just showing you right there, right, that the Lord is gathering, or that this gathering is of the Lord, right? He gathering all these, people, right? America has 50,000 troops over there in the east, right? So the Lord, is gathering these troops, right? You know, these allies and things of this such to battle over there in the east, right? Ultimately to be destroyed, to be destroyed. So his indignation is going to come from where? It's going to come in the form of those ICBM missiles, right? Second is just the 16th chapter, Also going to, if I am mistaken, the 15th chapter, right? So, those ICBM missiles, man, you gotta understand that they're not going to miss their target, right? They're going to have the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahshua in them, right? To hit their exact location, right? And a direct hit, this just made me think about Isaiah the 34th chapter, in verse 4, right? And the reason all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down. And what does it mean? And the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. That's talking about the mushroom cloud, right? The mushroom cloud for those nuclear warheads here. Those, the prophet had to, so like you. The prophet had to use it, the best similitude that he could prepare or compare it with. Right? Because, obviously at the time that their knowledge not the same knowledge that we have now. Right? So he described it as the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, right? But it's talking about that mushroom cloud, right? He's saying all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling from the falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Adumia. Adumia is a great way of saying Edom, right? We saying upon thy people of my curse to judgment, right? But like you say, and all their hosts shall fall down. And also how I said, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. It's talking about what Esau, aircraft, Esau, fighter jets and things of that such falling down from the heavens, right? Being destroyed, you know. So let's go back to the 13th chapter, you know. In verse 5, right, in the read say they come from a far country, from the end of the heaven. So from the end of the heaven, even the Lord Yahweh and the weapons of the nation to destroy the whole land, right? And speaking about those nuclear missiles, right, those nuclear warheads, they're going to help Yahweh shine the answer to destroy this place and return this place into the lake of fire, which is the second death. Right, verse 6, he said, Howl ye, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty, right? And the scriptures tell you how the day of the Lord is a day of darkness, right? A day of doom, right? A day of gloominess, right? A day of fire, right? A day of wrath, a day of his indignation, right? A day of distress, a day of great destruction, right? A day of death, you know. And people will soon fail to realize that Christianity been preaching on bullshit, right? Once again, it's going to be a lot of death, removal of kingdoms upon earth and etc. Like you can read about that, Joel, the 2nd chapter, and also 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, right? So verse 7 said, therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Verse 8, and they shall be afraid, and pains and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames, right? And I'm going to grab a quick piece of, a couple chapters down. Isaiah 19, verse 16, right? And it reads, saying, in that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman. Egypt also means America, right? Saying it shall be afraid and fear because it is shaken at the hand of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, right? The word of hosts mean what? The Lord of armies, right? Say which he shaketh over it, right? Meaning the Most High going to be judging America, judging Esau, right? So let's go back to Isaiah 13, verse 9. And it reads, behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh cometh, cruel, both with the wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners out of it. Right? He's going to come as that lion to destroy. Right? First time he came for the sacrificial lamb, for the Israelites, right? But this time he coming for what? That judgment, right? And to deliver his elect, of the nation of Israel, and to destroy / to conquer, right? Read about that. And also Revelation 6th chapter, right? Revelation 17th chapter and the 18th chapter, if I ain't mistaken, right? So let's go on to verse 10, right? And it reads that for the stars of heaven and the constellation, right? So like if I pronounce that wrong, constellations, he said, thereof shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened and his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And why is that? Because, of the smoke, right, from those bombs hitting and things of that such, right? Verse 11, saying, I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, right? It's speaking about who? Esau, right? They rulers of this world, right? Job 9:24, Malachi 1:4, Isaiah 14:10 and 11, right? And also going against that pump, right? Their pump, like it says, arrogancy, Salaki, arrogancy of the proud to cease, right? And that pump, going into Isaiah 14, verse 11, meaning their pride, right? And like the scripture say, pride go before destruction, right? Esau is going to be humble by who? Yahweh, by Shin Yahweh, right? Verse 12, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than gold wedges, a fear. It's like it, man. Like I said, we don't speak English. We'll be talking in our normal and regular language, which is what? Hebrew, right? But anyways, verse 12, you know, that verse 12 for the Tasha, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, right? Talking about who obviously the Israelite man, right? He's going to be made more than that made as fine gold, right? And ultimately, that elect man, right? And that's when, Isaiah the 4th chapter, verse 1, they're talking about 7 wives I cleave to one man, right? Because why? Because the Israelite man is going to be that true man, right? The man that these women are going to be looking for, right? They're not going to be looking for the gym rats and the business guys and the hood guys and the athletes no more. They'll be looking for true men of the Lord, right? Because those gym rights, right, when the famine hit, they gonna be able to get those proteins and nutrients and things of that such. So now they don't have any strength, right? We go have all the strength. We go have the true power, right, which is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right? The women will be able to rely on us, right? They're not gonna be able to rely on these other men. So therefore, the Lord go have these women, come and cleave to us, right? And a lot of these women, they will become widows, right? Because a lot of them men going to be drafted and go off into the east to fight, right? And ultimately, they're not going to come back, right? And like I said earlier, or if I said it, America has 50,000 troops over there in the Middle East now, right? And they're never coming back here, right? They're never coming back. And America or Trump or this military, they constantly sending out troops over there, for this war, right? So let's go to verse 13. And it reads, therefore I will shake the heavens, right? How the Lord going to shake the heavens through the ICBM missiles. He's saying the earth shall remove out of her place, and in the wrath of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase roe. He's saying, as a sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone to his own land, right? Speaking about the other nations, right? When things get real bad, they're going to start fleeing back into their nations, right? Fleeing back into their own land. Verse 15 says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword, right? Just going back to verse 14 real quick. You go see a lot of abandoned stores, right? A lot of abandoned, restaurants, things just as good. They're being owned by these Arabs, right? These Moabites, right? Things of that such, right? Of the other nations. Right? So you ain't gonna be able to go to your neighborhood, hood store anymore. Because why? The Arabian that was running it, that fled the scene, right? So going back to verse 15. Right? It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished, right? Yeah, kind of ravished, right? And this is showing you, right, how bad it's going to get, right? Nothing is going to come easy. Nothing is going to be slight. Nothing is going to be a beautiful sight, right? All anything that's coming to pass is going to be horrific, right? Terrible, gruesome, right? So I can give me 1 second. Allergies, man, it's crazy. All right. Verse 17, and it says, and behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? And money not going to deliver you from its destruction. And those Medes, talking about who Russia, right? In verse 19 saying Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when the heavenly Father overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, right? You know what did the Lord do to Sodom and Gomorrah? Destroyed it with fire and brimstone, right? Same thing He's going to do with America, right? Like I said earlier, the Lord's going to turn this place into what? The lake of fire, right? He's going to destroy this place with fire, right? And leave it as a monument to show you, hey, this is what happens when you rule a kingdom in wickedness, right? Verse 20, it says, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, right? America is going to be inhabitable, right? Verse 21, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there. And satyrs shall dance there. Verse 22, and the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Right, this is the end of America, the end of spiritual Sodom and Egypt, right, the end of Babylon the Great. Right, after the ICBM missiles hit, and American Yahweh Shine angels finish it off, that would be the end of his story, right? There will be no more America. It's going to be desolate, right? This place is going to be, say, like a desert, right? Non-inhabitable, over with, done, right? The end of Esau book. We're going to be talking about these things in the kingdom of heaven, right? So we're going to go into Revelation, the 8th chapter, and we'll finish it here, You're going to make it too long, because I got to get up soon for work. All right, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 8, and verse 1, right? And this goes hand in hand with the destruction of America, right? So it's saying, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of an hour, half an hour, right? And this is John the Revelator looking at all these different, visions. He just seen the vision of the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe. Then he saw the great multitude that red and white, with palms in their hands, and it was explained to him what that meant. So he looking for other visions to come. So he waiting for a half an hour. Then the vision started again, right? Verse 2, he said, and I saw the seven angels which stood before the heavenly Father, and to them were given seven trumpets, right? The seventh trumpet or the seventh angel or the seventh trouble represents the last trumpet. That's when the Lord comes back, right? Quick precept of that is 1 Corinthians 15 and 52, right? And it reads, saying that moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, right? That last trump represents the last trumpet angel, it's last trouble, right? So let's go back to Revelation chapter 8, verse 3. And it reads, and another angel came and stood at the altar, having a gold censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne, right? And so when we send up the prayers, right, they go to the heavens, right, especially the elect, right? The Lord hear all the elect's prayers, the crying outs, and the Lord hear that, right? When the elect sends up the prayers, the Most High accepting, those prayers, right? Verse 4, and the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before the Heavenly Father out of the angel's hand, right? The saints are all Israel, starting with the elect. Verse 5, and the angel took the censer and filled it with the fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there was voices and thunderings and lightnings and the earthquakes, right? The censer, right? It's like a bowl, right, with chains on it, with smoke coming out of it, right? The Roman Catholic, they got that from us, right? That's part of our I forgot how to pronounce it, lineage or something like that, but anyways, that earthquake. Hold on, I know y'all hear somebody shooting in the background, man. Standing in the fucking hood, man, it's crazy. Right, but anyways, that earthquake represents the destruction, right? What's going to make that earthquake happen are the what ICBM missiles, right? Hitting the earth. Isaiah 24:18, right? Grab that real quick. Because this place soon is going to get hit with those missiles, man. That's why they're afraid and don't want these other nations to have the ICBM missiles. Because why? They know it's a threat to them, right? Isaiah 24:18, he's saying, and it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. Right? He's saying the foundations of the earth do shake. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly, right? Through those bombs, through those nukes, through those nuclear warheads, those ICBM missiles. He said the earth shall reel to and fro. He said shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgressions thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again, right? These are the things that we're praying for, man. We can't wait. All right, we're ready for the Lord to destroy this fucking place, man. We can't wait for these fucking nukes to hit this place, man. And, we on a chariot watching it, man. Lord willing, we are that number. Right? So let's go back to Revelation 8, verse 6. All right, and it reads, and the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound, right? And, this destruction not going to take place until the angels sound their trumpet, right? Going to the book of Job, the 5th chapter. In verse 19, right? And the reason he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yeah, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword, right? We got to be out of here, or we're going to be out of, we got to be out of here, we're going to be above the clouds, right? Referring to Revelation 15 chapter 1 and 2, what I just quoted, right? When I said we're going to watch this place in the chariots, right? But, matter of fact, let's go there real quick, Revelation 15:1, right? And it reads, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Heavenly Father, right? During that 7th plague, that's when all hell is going to break loose, right? We're going to be out of here between the 6th and 7th plague, right? And hold on real quick. So let's read verse 2, right? And it says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, right? And that sea of glass is what? Talking about the firmament, right? In other words, what people call the ozone layer, right? It says mingled with fire. What is that fire coming from? The nukes, right? And also from the chariots, right? He said, them that had gotten the video over the beast, who the ones that got the video over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name. It's talking about the elect. It says, stand on the sea of glass, having the hearts of the Heavenly Father. Right, and that beast is in full effect right now with the whole crown victor royale. That's part of the beast, right? Like it speaks about over his image. His image is his ancient pagan Roman Empire, right? This is Roman all over again, right? New Rome, this is Rome 2.0, right? That's wounded to death, and behold, his deadly wound healed, right? Going to Revelation, the 13th chapter. And the image is not picture Caesar Borgia, right? Word mark, goes to the Greek word, what, karatma. Karatma just means to engrave, right? It's going to what? The mark of the beast, right? And his number is based on the 3 6s, which is 666. And it also talks about that in Revelation, the 13th chapter, right? And also, It's again the sea of glass representing that firmament. The elect's going to be looking down at the destruction of Babylon, and the Most High go allow us to see that, right? And you can go into Psalms the 91st chapter, right, to furthermore, read upon that or about that. So let's go to Revelations 8 and verse 7, right? And it reads, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Right, and that hail represents the missiles, right? When these warheads hit, they cause people to bleed and blow up, right? Leave people shadows, man. It's crazy. Right, the third part represents the third part of men, right? And it's three classifications of men, right? Sons of power, which are the Israelites, the sons of wicked, which are the Edomites, and the son of man, which are the other nations, right? So the third part was gonna be destroyed is where Edom at, and mainly talking about Babylon the Great, right? Verse 8, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burnt with fire, and was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Right, that great mountain represents the missiles hitting Babylon the Great, destroying this place. Right, quick precept, Jeremiah. Should I man, I'm getting a little tired. Jeremiah 51, verse 25, been up since 4:30, man. And I'm off for 2-3 hours of sleep. So Jeremiah 51 and 25, right? And it reads, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, said the Lord Yahweh, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. Right? So that mountain also represents Esau government, Esau kingdom, the ruling power of Esau. Right? Lord is going to destroy this place, man. I can't wait. Man. Fuck Esau. To hell with Esau. Right? Verse 9. Revelation 8 and 9 saying the third part of the creatures, right, which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed, right? Talking about Esau's ships, right? Saying the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters, right? The third part being Esau government, and Esau ruling power, right? Verse 11, the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter, right? Wormwood means what? Became contaminated, right? They died because they were drinking contaminated water, drinking radioactive water. That's why they were made bitter or contaminated, right? Verse 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the mountain, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for the third part of it, the night likewise, right? Sun, moon, stars also represent wisdom, knowledge, understanding, right? Meaning they had no way of getting out of this, right? Only the elect is going to get out of this because we have the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, right? We have Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, right? The rest of the people, other nations, the wicked, 2/3, they don't have this, so therefore they're going to be destroyed. Verse 13, saying, I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound, right? This destruction is going to come in stages, right? It's going to come in stages, man. And how Esau and how America is in this perdition right now. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Right. So we'll read this real quick, then so like y'all bear with me, then we'll end it. Right. Off of this. Just bear with me. All right, so this the book of Revelation, chapter 17. Uh, let's start at verse 7, right? And the reason the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Right, that woman is what? America. The beast represents the EU NATO. Right, the 7 heads and 10 horns, which represents their 7 major empires along with their EU. Right, verse 8: the beast that thou sawest was and is not, it shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and it shall go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And this is dealing with America, right? That bottomless pit is Europe, and America was in the vision of the Apostle John, and the reason it says and it's not because it wasn't at the time. Right? It was a future vision that he was seeing of America, right? And like it says, ascending out of the bottomless pit because they did not come out of so-called Europe, right? From the moment Esau came over and decided they wanted to come over and steal this land, from the Israelites that were says are here and establish themselves here, right? Having that conquer spirit and things of that such. It also began the beginning of their destruction, right? Esau is the son of perdition, and America is the place it's going to happen in, right? And Esau, right, going to Rome is the 9th chapter, right? He's that vessel fitted for destruction, right? So, like it says, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. That's the ones that are not part of the elect, right? The beast that was and is not and yet is talking about America, right? So, uh, so we're going to verse 9, right? And said, there is, and here is the mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, right? These other nations, they've been carrying America, right? That's why she been living deliciously, right? Like it speaks about in, what book is that? I think 18th chapter, verse 7, right? So, she been living deliciously off these other nations, right? Revelation 8 and 6 should reward her even as she rewarded you. Double unto her cup, or double unto her, double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. So like you started reading too fast, right? Mind moving quicker than my damn mouth, right? But that's what these other nations they're going to do. They're going to reward her, right? By what? By these nukes, right? By these missiles, to reward her even as she rewarded you. So they're going to destroy this place, right? It's all going to backfire upon her, right? Hold on real quick. It's like, yeah. Trying to think of his precept. All right, but anyways, right? Start back up at verse 6. So I can't think of it. Lord, when it come to me, Revelation 18 and 6, reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, and the coat which she hath filled to her double. Once again, these nations are going to pay this place back by destroying it, right? All the wickedness that, America and the small hats, the ish people, spread it throughout the earth is going to, backfire, right? It's all going to fall back upon them, via nuclear missiles being launched during World War III, right? You gotta know and understand that the nations haven't forgot, what happened to them, right? People are starting to see that America and Esau is the true demons, right? They see that they ain't nothing but a piece of shit, hypocrites, liars, right? Just full out wicked, right? People are starting to see this, man. People are starting to see that America is that dirty whore, right? She burnt all of them, right? They're like, like, damn, man, yeah, she burnt me. They're like, nah, she burnt me too. They're like, nah, she burnt you down. She burnt me too. And the third nation come through like, man, ain't no way she burnt all of us. Right? Many nations, they remember what America has done to them. And she's that great whore. Right? Everyone has been affected by this great whore. Right? Verse 7 say, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and no widow, and shall see no sorrow, right? And it's all about America, right? All about putting themselves first, right? Going to Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? But it's living good while the whole earth is suffering, right? Or even America own people are suffering, right? Really referring to the elites. The elites got billions of dollars and things of that such, right? While the rest of the earth is fucking living paycheck to paycheck, right? Living stressful and things of that such, right? So let's go back to Revelation the 17th chapter, right? In verse 9 saying, here's the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, right? And those 7 heads. Hold on, make sure. Going to Greece, Spain. Slovakia. Because I had it in my notes. I don't want to be wrong, All right, I got it. All right, so you got Greece, Rome, Spain, French. Right, these are the 7 heads of the dragon, right? So Greece, Rome, Spain, French, Germanium Major, Germanium Minor, which is Germany today, and Great Britain, right? And those 10 horns are the EU NATOs, right? So this verse 11, and now I answer right here. So verse 11 saying, the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, right? He's saying of the 7 and go for to perdition, right? So like I say, this 8th head goes into perdition, and this 8th head is of the 7, right, of Great Britain, right? Where did America come out of? Great Britain, right? And it's saying go for to perdition. So this is showing you right there how America is going to go into perdition. Perdition going to what? War, destruction, things of that sense. Things that we're seeing now, right? And the point is across, right? In verse 12, but I'll finish off verse 12 saying the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which I received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords, kings of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful, right? So during the midst of World War III, right, America and its allies, all the, nations and, everyone that's included into World War III, they're going to turn from fighting amongst each other, and they're going to try to turn and fight against Yahweh Shine the angels, right, which is they're going to fail, desperately, right? And we'll continue on verse 15 saying, he said to me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. How they going to do that? Through that war, through the ICBM missiles, man, through the nuclear warhead, they're going to destroy this place, right? They're going to destroy this place, man. And it's going into back to the title at hand, right? This is the end, or this is the last chapter of Esau book, right? Hey, man, those nuclear missiles finna get shot over here, man, right? And Lord willing, we're not part of the destruction, man. But Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson, right? Once again, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Until next time.